Jack Posobiec, Washington, D.C. Bureau Chief for Rebel Media. I'm here at the Real News Correspondents' Dinner taking place at Shelley's Back Room here in Washington, D.C. Now, it's the same night as the White House Correspondents' Dinner here in Washington. And I'm here with Laura Loomer of Project Veritas. You guys all know the great work they've done exposing what's going on in our country, putting out stories that are not being told out there. And Laura, I guess what I wanted to ask you tonight was, what's the importance of holding a real news dinner at the same time that the White House Correspondents' Dinner is going on?
Well, I think the most important part is to rise up against, the fake news and a media which refuses to cover the stories that we, investigative journalists like James O'Keefe and the people at Project Veritas are uncovering, and people like yourself and Mike Cernovich and, Jim Hoff with Gateway Pundit. Why would we want to swirl glasses of champagne with them in the same room and, pretend to put our politics aside for the night when we could just have our own event?
I noticed they all focused on who was going to be the comedian, right? You should have mockery and parody and satire, but is that really the job of the media, people who are putting out news, to do?
No, it's not. I think it's just a chance, especially now because Donald Trump isn't showing up. It's just another opportunity for them to get together and bash the president, and that's not journalism. Having that bias that's so extreme and putting your own personal feelings above fact is not journalism. So for them to even call it a correspondence dinner for journalists, that's not journalism. That's what our event is. It's for real news. This is where real journalism is taking place, real investigative journalism.
Well, why are they so unwilling to go and do real journalism anymore?
I think that they're afraid of reporting the truth because of the consequences or the impact that it may have on them. I think really a lot of it is rooted in fear and also just establishment control. It's no surprise that our politicians are, heavily invested in the media, and that a lot of political institutions kind of control the media. We saw that during the campaign with Hillary Clinton, literally making phone calls to NBC News and MSNBC when...
And Politico.
And Politico.
Running Glenn Thrush, sending an we're supposed to be the fourth estate, and we're supposed to be checking politicians. That we can't do that if we're emailing political campaigns and asking politicians whether the stories we're writing about them for their permission. Exactly. If you had one piece of advice for establishment media, institutional media, what would that be?
Listen to the people more. For some reason, these journalists are so against people getting their news from social media and Twitter, but really that's where everyone's having a discussion. If you really want to know what the American people feel about a certain situation, just interact with them.
What a concept! Actually interact with the people who live in the country
and everybody
where
who's
you're
here,
covering
look at you.
journalists.
You're asking me what I think. They don't care. They're not asking people why they're having their event. They don't care.
I'm here with Cari, Dallas, Texas. Just recently launched her own radio show, interview show. She's interviewing people from around the world. She's here today at the Real News Correspondents' Dinner. And Cari, why did you decide to come to the Real News Dinner and not go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is happening at the same time across town?
Well, partially because Trump blew it off. I mean, he's in Pennsylvania tonight with the real people, so I wanted to be at the Real News Correspondents' Dinner with the real journalists.
So what is the difference? What makes this real news versus the traditional correspondence dinner?
Well, first of all, we don't have producers and we don't have advertisers, so nobody can tell us what to say. We're just after the truth, and we get the truth from the American people.
Now, we've seen now this big move, right, in terms of media from sort of the traditional print media, TV media. A lot of it's moving online now. A lot of it's moving to social media. YouTube is the #1 TV station in the world, at this point. So, what do you think is the difference? Why are there so many groups like Rebel Media, shows like yours? Why are those all of a sudden able to compete with these, massive names like Associated Press, CNN, New York Times? People have been around for, decades, centuries in some cases. How are we able to compete with that?
Because they're not doing their job, and when you don't do a job, you create a vacuum, and a vacuum will be filled by somebody, so why not us?
Wow. If you had one piece of advice for the institutional mainstream media, what would that be?
I would say take your constitutional duty seriously, and that's holding those in power accountable. You're the ones that are supposed to tell the American people what those in charge are doing. And if you don't do that job, then you're really shirking your duties on the constitutional duty of holding those in power accountable. So I would say do your job.
So here with Lucian Wintrich, one of the hosts of the Real News Gala dinner tonight. And I want to, so why did you guys decide to put on this event this evening? What's the reasoning?
Well, you know, the White House Correspondents Association is so incredibly biased towards the right. They were sycophantic during the Obama administration. They tried to ruin Trump's candidacy, and now they're trying to ruin his presidency.
So it's something where they're pushing a narrative, they're not following facts.
I think it's even more devious than that. They're not only pushing a narrative, but they're claiming to be unbiased. They're claiming to be the voice of the people. There's a reason that public distrust of the mainstream media right now is at an all-time low.
Why is it, right? Why is it that independent media, like Rebel Media, like Gateway Pundit, is punching way above our weight class right now in terms of viewers, in terms of numbers, and able to compete with these mainstream media like this?
We're reporting on stories that are underrepresented, that the American people absolutely need to read about, need to know about. And I mean, this is part of that fight. Malia Obama, for whatever reason, an 18-year-old, by the way,
18,
decided to threaten me with violence. And listen, I was shocked she knew who I was.
So I mean, the daughter of the former president knows Lucian Wintrich of the Gateway Pundit.
And she hates me.
And hates you. And hates you.
She's like, so you want to have a conversation? You want to have a real conversation?
She's grabbing you.
And then her Secret Service or personal security, they're like, Malia, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just viewership isn't there. Like, don't, man. Imagine if Ivanka Trump was caught at a club roughing up a reporter.
The headlines were literally Malia Obama wears the cutest romper right after.
So they celebrated her attacking a journalist.
And then wearing a cute dress.
And look how cute she is for attacking. So what is it about new media that triggers them so much?
Again, there are so many special interests funding mainstream media. That's what we're all fighting against.
If you had a message for the mainstream media tonight, what would it be?
Your days are numbered. That's why the American public themselves, in every poll, says that you are not reputable, that they are no longer turning to you for the news. They're turning to us.
Turning to us. They're turning to Rebel Media. They're turning to Gateway Pundit.